Alright, so what's up guys? This is a video I've been wanting to make pretty much since the day I got this Bally set up and running, but today we're going to check out the Kershaw Flytanium Lucha. Now the biggest, most obvious difference with the Flytanium handle slabs is that they're made out of titanium opposed to the stock steel handles. That comes with a couple differences, and I'm basically not really going to talk at all about the stock steel handles, except to say that they're much heavier and extremely handle biased. For me, the best attribute and value comes from this knife exclusively when it's paired with the Flytanium handles, at least as a flipper. The reason I was excited to make this video and show you guys the Flytanium Lucha is just because of the sheer value presented here. Now the Lucha as well as the Flytanium handles are proudly made here in America. It comes in at $119.95. There is a black washed version that comes in at $139.95. Now the Flytanium handles do come in at $145, which yes means the titanium handle slabs do cost more than the knife itself, but the benefits are exponential. And even with the added cost of the titanium handle slabs, that still comes in at a decent amount cheaper than what other comparative Ballys would typically cost. And with that lower price of entry means much more people are going to be able to buy and check out this knife compared to some of the more expensive custom Ballys I typically review, which is great to see. I mean, not every Bally that comes out needs to be a custom piece sitting at $1,000. So the Lucha comes in at 10 1/4 inches overall. It's got a 4.6 inch blade made of Sandvik 14C 28N steel in sort of a Weehawk clip point blade. It's got a big full flat grind and an edge that's actually really clean and super sharp. And that is one of the areas where they get you compared to higher price, higher tier Ballys. The blade material isn't necessarily anything stellar, and in its stock form the handles are steel as well, though I'm not sure the specific type of steel used for the stock handles. And with the stock handles the weight is 5.9 ounces, but with the Flytanium handles the weight drops down to 4.6 ounces, and that's a difference of 1.3 ounces, which is a significant amount to be losing off the handles, and you definitely feel it, but only in good ways. Now this is a sandwich style Zen pin Bally that runs on KVT bearings, which that is the one only negative, the one detracting factor that some people may not like is the bearings. Now this has got barrel style spacers, and as I've said before, I don't particularly like barrel spacers that much, but these aren't too bad the way they're canted off to one side like that. It allows to fit more blade between the handles and just looks a little bit better in my opinion. Now hands down, at least in my opinion, where the Lucha shines brightest is with how well it flips and the price at which it accomplishes this. Particularly with the Flytanium handles, the Lucha is just an excellent flipper. Now with the stock steel handles, there's nothing really wrong at all with the Lucha as a knife, but as a flipper they just have such a heavy handle bias, it makes flipping it really awkward, and you're constantly fighting that rear bias and muscling it through tricks, especially fanning tricks. And holding aside the weight obviously being much lighter, the Flytanium handles are also a little bit thicker than the stock steel handles, giving it a much fuller, more proportionate feel in the hand. And though the length and width is still the same as the stock handles, the balance with the Flytanium handles, at least for my preference, is just about perfect. It's got just a tiny little bit of handle bias, almost bordering on neutral, but not really. And if I had to make a comparison, I'd say it's balanced similar to my Thai Basilisk, but that's got G10 spacers in it. And the simple clean hole pattern is pretty par for the course as we've come to expect from Flytanium. The handles have a stone washed finish, and other than the chamfer that runs down the side, they're pretty much basically flat slabs of titanium, which I don't really mind too much. They don't really feel too blocky and they are pretty comfortable. Now the spine on this blade is chamfered, not crowned, but if you can see, it's chamfered at such a steep angle that it almost renders itself irrelevant, because you can still clearly feel that corner during flipping on the spine. But that's one of my only complaints, and it's a minor one. Now it's good to say this knife hardly pinches at all when you're flipping it, and that was one of the things I thought was going to be an issue when I first saw this Bali, was pinching. You can see the way the Zen nipple sits a little high, it sits kind of far away from the pivots. I thought that was going to be a pinching issue, but everything is chamfered and softened really well. It's actually really comfortable and feels really good, hardly pinches at all. Now one other thing I thought was going to be an issue structurally was these holes milled into the tang area, and though I do like the way that they look, they sit right on top of the pivot holes, and I have seen blade tangs break and crack right at that pivot area before. Though admittedly the blades I've seen break like that were tang pin Balis, this is a Zen pin Bali, but still those holes sit right on top of the pivots. You can actually see the bearings in there at the right light. But I've put a lot of flipping mileage and a lot of drops on this Bali so far, and it hasn't been an issue, and the blade steel is decently thick, so this is actually one of my go-to flippers that I grab. Even when you factor in the price of the titanium handles, which do cost more than the knife itself, the other Balis in my collection that feel and flip as well as the Flytanium Lucha does usually cost at least around double. The balance is great, they look great, it's all made here in America. The only considerable con is that they run on bearings, which is also dependent upon the person. I don't particularly mind too much. And I also saw that Flytanium has coming out soon a set of channel aluminum handles for the Lucha, which I'm actually really interested in. They look great, I'm really excited for. I'll definitely be picking a set of those up and hopefully get a video done for those too. I imagine they'll be cheaper than the titanium handle slabs, but if you've been iffy about picking up a Lucha, I'd say go for it. They're really good quality, they're consistent, they're made here in America. Just be aware that as a flipper, they don't perform nearly as well without these Flytanium handle slabs, but with them, it's a really great flipper that doesn't totally break the bank. So I'd say go for it.